really bring in enough money for it to be a major push. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
because
the ISBNs that I purchased for Bowker, once they're registered and applied to a specific uh, manuscript or work, I'm not so sure how easy it is to change that.
you
Uh,
can't.
yeah, and I provide ISBNs for the authors that I publish. One in Florida, one in Arizona, and probably will be doing one here in Texas soon. I provide the ISBN as the publisher, but all the copyright and the name goes under them. But I have publishing rights, and until we terminate our agreement, I will have. But the ISBN comes back to me, Aim High Books, and so I'm not so sure if we used a free ISBN from either Amazon or from tech from you guys, that it would get registered in such a way that the author would still maintain his copyright rights.
Okay, so the copyright's being totally separate from the ISBN. What Amazon and Ingram and the others have done by these free ISBNs is gotten themselves listed as the publisher for the book. So unfortunately, when that author does die, if it's not in the will, they own the rights to that book that has been published.
In
Okay,
that version.
Right, not the copyright. So they can't, like Missy mentioned earlier, if somebody came along in a generation after the author died, changed it up and republished it, it would be a revised book with a new ISBN, and they would have the rights to do that.
Yes.
The original format that ISBN is attached to becomes the property of whoever owns that ISBN. Like Lee, you own those ISBNs. So even if you end the contract, you still own them. They're still yours. It's still attached to that title and you can't change it.
Right. I would have to take it out of publication and then do a revision or reversion contract back
New
to
cover.
the author. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
so Alan, you'd be in the same position.
Exactly.
You know, except you wouldn't do a reversion agreement. You just keep the publication rights.
Right.
So I don't know many authors that would agree to that.
That's the thing.
Asking another question, how much is this museum annual cost to keep running?
Well, right now it's down to under $2,000 a year. And that's not including the event and stuff like that. It's a minimum of $2,000. That's
Is
the
that
website and the people I have that do work for it, to help keep the
So
website
it's not
going.
a physical space. This museum's not a physical space. It's all online.
Right. Which is the other issue. We need to have that physical location at some point. It's just never been an issue, and it's still not really an issue, but we do want to plan and have our goals towards that.
Which is why you want this hotel place.
Combination, yeah.
And what is the is the hotel for sale, and what is the asking for it?
We've been given a couple of different variations. No one has been able to solidify an actual price, but it's roughly 10 million.
Well, I have two questions then on that. First of all, and this is just curiosity, why a museum? Like, why did you decide that a museum instead of just a bookstore? I know you kind of have multi museum and bookstore, but why a museum?
Because we have well over 2 million books published by Texas authors over the last 200 years. And there's no real solid location for all the genres to be at as an educational center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are, McMurray, for example, had his little museum up in northern Texas. There's a children's book museum. There's, what's the other one? A nonfiction book museum, very limited. All these are very small, limited things, but nowhere, even in the United States, other than the Library of Congress, is there a museum for authors of a particular state. So originally, when we created this institute, it was to be an educational center And that's where having those physical books at. I know UT and some of the other universities have, over the years, thrown away some of their books that they've had in storage and stuff. And that's not cool. I mean, that's history that's being lost. So in the long term, yes, it's going to be an expensive operation, and I understand that. But ideally, it's something that can be built over generations. But we need to start somewhere.
And have you yet looked into the state of Texas as a resource for this
Yes.
museum?
We
Okay.
actually approached the state senate, I think 6 years ago. We got them to recognize us and even submitted a resolution for us. But the way the Texas law is, in order for a museum to be funded by the state of Texas, it has to go through a university.
Oh, so have you reached out to any universities?
I have, and they're not interested.
Alan, where are those books located that we've sent you over the years for the Texas Institute of History? Are they in storage somewhere?
They were.
Where?
Right? Yes. And all 3 storage units that I had are all gone now.
What do you mean gone? Are they?
We could no longer pay for them, and so they were confiscated. So we lost all of that stuff.
Do you know how long ago was that? Do you know, is there any way to find out who bid on those? Because I know they're auctioned off.
Right. And they will not tell us who bid on them.
Mm.
That was definitely one of the things I tried to do, because the bidder for it got bid $100 for it and got it, which killed me. Yeah, knowing how much value we had in there. We had $30,000 worth of books in there. So it was all gone. And Ernie, we sent out so many requests for help in donations and stuff. And out of last year, all we got was $700 in donations, which, you're looking at $150 a month per storage unit. And there was just, everything there's just no way I could have kept it. I tried everything I could and I couldn't. So we lost it. So that's one of the things that, as the organization, we're needing to replace all those books, which is, again, a long-term goal and stuff. But yeah, that's where we're at this point.
Do you still have a list of all those books that were in there, or like
Pretty
a
much.
database of those books?
Yeah.
Authors would be able to replace those books if you had a permanent and safe storage space.
Right.
At printer's cost, it wouldn't be at retail. We could just
Well, they would get,
to you at our cost.
yeah, their costs would be minimal, but we would, as a nonprofit, be able to credit them the full value, retail value of that book through our donation and stuff. So yeah, they'd end up making 2 or 3 times whatever, which is good for their taxes. But I haven't even started that process. Well, I've got boxes in my car of books that have been sent to me since then. They're not comfortable to sleep on, but they're there. And that is something, again, trying to raise the money so that we have that ability to pay 6 months in advance or a year in advance on a storage unit, and to keep the costs down so that we don't lose those, because that is very frustrating.
So let me ask you another question then. Austin is probably one of the most expensive areas in the state. Have you looked anywhere else for this, for the museum or facility? Because Austin prices are astronomical.
Yes. Keeping it in Central Texas is my goal. And the reason for that is to make it central for Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, El Paso to come to the learning educational, the educational center. If we keep it up in the north part of Texas, then it makes it harder for the south to come up. So that's why I'm trying to keep it central. And there's plenty of land in the Central Texas area that is still inexpensive. I've looked at Seguin as a possibility in that area. There's still a lot of land available there. So yeah, even if we didn't get the hotel in Austin, which is fine, looking elsewhere to have something built or to get an old courthouse or something that we can convert, or like you mentioned, the church that was turned into a bookstore, those type of things. Yes, I'm open to all of that, but I've put one location for now as an objective, as a goal. Understanding that, yeah, our goals will change, our finances will change, and things will change. So,
Okay.
So our emphasis right now then is on selling booths and sponsorships for the Lone Star. Is that correct?
Yes.
correct. That's the main source of income that we need at this point in time, other than people just donating. And I always want to have those donations. So I never say no to that. And other ways. Now, and speaking of other ways, you guys all saw the clothing that I created with the logos?
Mhm. Mhm.
No.
No?
Yes.
Okay. So in a couple of newsletters I sent a couple weeks ago, we opened up a retail store online only that has all of our logos on it, the Texas Authors Institute, the museum, or excuse me, the Dear Texas, the bookstore, the radio show, all of those things are available for clothing. So those are ways for us to earn extra passive income. So, feel free to check those out and stuff like that. Hopefully at the Lone Star, we'll have some of that available for people to purchase and stuff that is related specifically to Lone Star. That is also clothing that is available, and other little things and stuff like that. It's not just
What is the
clothing.
website for that store?
I'll email it to you. It's on Shopify. So if you go to shopify.com and search Author School of Business, it'll come up, and then you can go to collections and you can see all the different types of collections that there are.
Okay.
Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, 7:23. Okay. So, just to be clear from what you all are saying, at this point in time, to let the free ISBN kind of simmer until I can figure out a better way to make it more financially feasible for the time and money that we put into it to get time and money back. And to continue to build the Lone Star Festival and to get those sponsors. And at the same time, promoting the museum to get authors at least to be signing up and putting their books into the museum as far as online. There is an online form for that. The more, out of 77,000 authors in Texas, there's no reason they shouldn't all be on there. Okay, because it is a museum, it's free advertising for their books and for them. Okay, but ultimately, those are people that we can reach into to say, hey, ASB is here, sign up, learn how to better market and sell yourself. So, one, we're getting money coming in one way or the other, and they're growing and becoming better at what they're doing. Yes, Missy.
So for the museum, we need to give the museum more value before we really push it, to these authors who have never heard of it or who are not currently involved. Because I haven't sent you any of my books, to be honest. I don't know that I need my book at a museum at this time, and especially knowing now right this moment there's no physical museum yet. So we need to find ways to get that museum to give it more value. But, I'm looking at the website, the Author School of Business website, and because I'm in two other groups that are on Mighty Networks to learn craft for romance writing specifically, and those are pretty user-friendly. There's a lot of resources there. Okay, there's background noise on someone. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is, but those are the other resources that I have are very user-friendly compared to this website. Every link I click on when I try to go to the 4 steps to a successful book launch, and when I try to click on these links, it keeps saying that it is the connection's not private, and my computer is not allowing me to go to any of these links. So I honestly think that the main focus right now needs to be on cleaning up, because I want so badly to push this Author School of Business to all these authors I know that are already using these other services. One of the ones I'm using is $30 a month, and I got in on the ground floor. So I know all these other authors that are using it are paying more than I am. I want to get them switched over to us or to use us as well, but clicking on these links, it's not going where it needs to go. So, I think right now other than the Lone Star Festival, I think that the real focus right now needs to be on the website and these resources that we can push to these authors to get more membership. That's where the money is going to come in. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, who cares about a museum that doesn't exist yet? This membership, authors right now, new authors. I don't know how much you're on Twitter. If you ever look at the writer's lift, if you ever look at the writing community hashtags, all these people want to know, what do I do? How do I do it? Where do I do it? When do I do it? If you can answer all those questions in an easy format, you're going to get members. But like I said, I can't get to these resources.
So 2 items. One, the reason you can't get to those resources is dealing with the SSL certificate. Even though we have one, because you're able to access the main page, for some reason it's not picking up on the sub channels, and I've been hounding GoDaddy about that, trying to get them to fix that, because that's their certificate. It should be working. There's no reason why you should be getting that. It's not
Right.
a legit thing. Okay. Now, for some of those pages, you do click on it and says, you're not a registered member, you can't access this page. That's because they're not, you have to be logged in as a member to get to some of those pages. That's just the value of what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
2, as far as the museum goes, the value of the museum right now for an author is the fact that it's another place where their name's going to be popping up in search engines. Okay, so it's a free marketing tool for them. Okay, and that's what I've been pushing mostly, is the free marketing tool for them. It's another way.
Is this museum online right now? Like, if I was a part of it and I put in Missy Jane, is this museum going to pop up as one of the things under my name?
If
because
you do a search for Missy Jane?
No, I'm not in. I haven't sent you my information, but I'm just saying, if we tell these authors, look, this museum is another way to promote your books, they're going to want to see it. They're going to want to see it right off. And if they go to the museum, I mean, what readers are going to be searching for a museum in Texas for authors? None of them. So if they search for the authors that they like that are in Texas, and the museum pops up as one of the things on that list, then that gives the museum more value in their eyes, in that author's eyes. But if it's buried because this, like, again, there's not a brick and mortar museum yet, does it have an online presence, and how much of an online presence does it have? And so you said that you're paying, people to work on this right now. Are they working on the SEO? And are you paying someone to work on the website? Because if so, they need to be working on the website, for those certificates, because
okay, again, those are 2 separate things. So let's stay clear on one at a time. Okay. The certificates are ASB, and that's GoDaddy, and that's their thing. So there's nothing I can do with them on that other than keep hounding them about it. Threatening lawsuits because of loss of income, all that crap. For the museum, if you go to texasauthors.institute, you are listed in there.
Okay.
Okay. You could do a search. We have a search bar right at the very top of the thing. You can type in your name, Missy Jane, and boom, it'll come up and it'll show you. So all of the authors that we currently have in the system, which is close to 1,000, is in there. And for those that had books that we have information on, are also listed in there, so they could do search by titles and stuff like that. Hopefully on the back end, the person that I had working on this is going in and putting on each person's page information about them, so that in a search engine, it will pop up. So that does answer, I believe, your question as far as value. Okay. If they're not, then I need to get back on them to say, hey, go back and fix this and stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, I put my name into a search on Google, and the museum is not even on the first page. There's stuff on here from 2021 and older, but the museum is not even on the first page. So we need to figure out a way, because I know the idea of SEO and all that, and that's how you get, your better search here, but I don't know how to manipulate it. But I know that is what you need to do in order to get that out there.
Right.
Because again, if we start telling authors in Texas, look, you're a Texas author, why aren't you part of this museum? Why don't you join us in this endeavor? They're going to want to know why. What is this going to do for them?
Right.
So,
And it's that marketing aspect. It's just another avenue of getting their books or their books and themselves out there and stuff like that. In reference to the person I have working, he's $8 an hour. He's from Venezuela. So when I can afford him, he is working for me. And you know, $8 an hour is not a whole lot, but when you're
right.
broke,
Yes,
know,
believe me,
and
I understand.
so having that income coming in from the Lone Star event, which is supposed to be a fundraiser for TAIH, that will help us be able to do those things more so. The other aspect of them signing up is that it then allows me a chance to come to them and say, hey, we also have this, this, and this, such as the interview show. You know, that's free for them to access. It's ways of getting them hooked into who we are and what we do so that they do buy into the other stuff. So the museum is free for them to sign in and to put their information in there. And then that gives me that opportunity to grow the list and to share more information with them to get them hooked into ASB.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm trying in that respect.
Okay, I have one more question.
Sure.
So the Lone Star Festival, I know that you're not doing any of the other annual book events that were previously being done.
Right.
Is there any other major money fundraising event or venue other than this festival for 2023?
For the Texas Authors Institute of History, no.
Okay. Okay.
No. And the reason I backed out of all those small ones was because of the amount of time it was taking and the cost, and it wasn't giving the authors really enough. And that's why I settled on this one big one to make it something of value for everybody, similar to the Texas Book Festival, but more so.
Right.
You know, and you know, again, focusing in on that Texas Creative, which the Texas Book Festival was originally designed to do, but has long forgotten that because, yeah, Barnes and Noble wants to bring in those authors from other places and stuff. So, anyways, that's another story.
All righty.
All right. So, any questions, any thoughts that we need to address or talk about? Things that'll help guide me in the next 3 months?
No, just my suggestion that I would get a head count on who cannot bring their own resources to the festival.
Yeah.
I think that's really needs to be where we start on, you know, major concerns for money specifically for this year's festival.
Yeah. After the initial 2,000 for the city fees.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, have you already signed a contract with the city for the tables and chairs, or can we back out of getting that from them?
The tables and chairs are not being provided by the city this year.
Okay.
So we have to definitely provide them for those people who don't have them.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Any questions? Anybody?
Nope.
Oh, actually, did we have food trucks last year?
Yes. And we have some scheduled for this year as well.
Okay. And is that a separate permitting, or that's part of that amount that you already had factored in for the city?
Yeah. Well, they have to have their own permits. We don't have to deal with that.
Okay, good.
And so we're off the hook on that one. So
Good.
So Alan, you do all the legwork on all of this
yes.
for this event?
Yes.
It's a kind of a one-man show in terms of getting it all together. Yikes.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
That's another reason why we need to bring in more money and stuff, because after what happened to me last year, I just can't go through that again. I mean, to lose all my personal belongings and to lose the library's books and to lose the tents, it was a year from hell. So
yeah. Well, let's see if we can get it back on track.
That's my goal.
So let's work on let's work on putting together a proposal that looks professional and polished, and I'll get it to the person that I'm thinking of, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll try to get something
like I
to
said,
you.
all she can do is say no.
Yeah. Yeah, but we need it, regardless and stuff for other businesses as well and stuff. So,
Who
um,
are you writing grants for any of this stuff?
we, okay, so we have a person who's an author who is experiencing grants and stuff. Of course, she wants to get paid for the service. Her minimum is $500 to begin the process. And then per each grant is a different fee depending on how many hours are involved in it. So again, without the money, we're kind of
Gotcha.
stuck there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
What do y'all think about reaching out to the major like sports teams in the air, like San Antonio? I mean, we have now an XFL team, I think it is, and of course, the basketball. Do you think, and like SeaWorld, Six Flags, do you think that reaching out to any of them for sponsorship, do you think that they would be a good source?
yes and no. So for example, the Austin soccer team, when they started, I reached out to them. I submitted a proposal. We got nowhere. So yes, we need to keep pounding the thing, but it all comes down to who do you know? And that's really what it boils down to for every single organization. Who do you know that's going to get us in the door? And like he was saying, I know somebody through somebody, and that's the person we know.
Okay.
They get tons and tons of the cold submissions, but it's all who do you know to walk in the door to persuade them to do it. And you guys know I can do a good job of persuading. I just need to get in the door.
You know what I do need from you, Ellen, because I have I know two people who are very big in San Antonio for networking. But I will need to know the 501c3 information. Does that letter, that sponsorship letter, have that in the number or the information?
It
It'll
doesn't
probably,
have
probably,
the EIN number in that. But yes, I can supply that. I can supply a copy of the IRS letter, which has everything you need.
I think if we could just incorporate it into the letter. I may still have a letter from whenever I was doing fundraising for the high school band that maybe I can kind of copy, that we can incorporate that number into, because I know that that was something that I was always having to provide whenever I would do those, well, the fundraising for which I did for like 6 years, 7 years. So, because as we're talking, I'm thinking, and there's two people that I think could really help, but they're going to need that information. So I will see if I still have one of those letters that I can type something up.
Okay. Otherwise, it'll be similar to what I've had to submit for HEB, which is, show proof of how you're going to use our logo. What is the logo going to be used for? How many people attended? What's your EIN? How long have you been?
Yes.
All that stuff. So
yeah, because a lot of these places will have it on their website. I know, like the Six Flag organization, if I remember correctly, you could only submit between this month and this month for this. It had to get the timing just right. But I'll start looking into those as well.
okay. All right. Anything else? Give me guidance. If you think of something, send me an email. It's all about how can we make this feasible? Like Missy was saying, what's the value for the author, and stuff like that. So don't hesitate to throw in ideas and stuff.
Okay.
Ernie, you had a question?
No, thank you
Okay.
though. I appreciate being involved and looking forward to contributing however I can.
All righty. Did you have anything?
No, I think we're good. You're going to contact me later on with the information that you're going to send, and let's just move forward.
All righty. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate the feedback, and we'll go from there.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.